Hello everybody, I'm very happy to present to you guys my second winter forecast for the year of 2020. I did update a couple things in this forecast and quite a bit of stuff did change, so I hope you guys are all excited as I am to look at this winter forecast with me. I'm going to be going over my precipitation forecast, my overall temperature forecast, as well as my new snowfall forecast and my overall forecast at the end of the video, so make sure you are staying tuned all the way until the end. So let's get right into it here with your precipitation outlook, and we are looking at some below average conditions for parts of the south central United States, the southeastern United States as well, and then we also have another area there over parts of Oregon, California, Nevada, and also for parts of Utah and Arizona, where you do have some slightly below average precipitation for these regions, and it's not going to be too noticeable in these regions just yet, but in the second shade here of moderately below average for parts of northern and central California, as well as for parts of southern Texas, southern Louisiana, and also for southern Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and then also for northern Florida, we have some moderately below average precipitation. This is where it's going to be a little bit more noticeable than what is typical. Now, also, I do have to note that this forecast is valid from December 1st to February 28th, which is the time frame that includes the meteorological winter, which is again from the first day of December to the last day of February, and that's usually the time frame that I use in pretty much all of my winter forecasts. And I'm also going to do individual monthly forecasts. So, for example, I'll do my December forecast, my January forecast, and my February forecast for all of these months, and you'll just have to be subscribed and turn on your notifications to know when those do come out. Now, also, here is your above average precipitation region, and this is quite an expansive region which includes parts of Washington, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, also for parts of Colorado, down through North Dakota, Minnesota, and then through the Great Lakes and the interior Northeast. We have some slightly above average precipitation for these regions. Now, if you're not if you're in an average region, or you don't have any shading on your particular part of the map, that doesn't mean that you might see less snowfall than normal or more snowfall than normal, or you might see just an average amount of snowfall. Snowfall actually 1 inch, well, typically 1 inch of snowfall, or 10 inches of snowfall is equal to 1 inch of rain. So if you average, let's say, 6 inches of rain or 6 inches of precipitation for the entire winter, then you might then that could, if you see all snowfall that winter, you could see probably 60-70 inches. So just because you have slightly, or you're in an average region, or maybe you're even in below average, doesn't mean that you're going to see necessarily less snowfall. For example, if you average, let's say, 2 feet of snowfall, and this year you get 3 feet of snowfall, but that only equates to 3.5 inches of precipitation, and you average 6 inches, you're still going to be below average precipitation, but you're going to have above average snowfall, and you'll see how that equates into my snowfall forecast in just one moment. Now, here is my temperature forecast, and this is going to show you where it's going to be warmer or colder than normal for this winter. Now, for parts of the southwest, the south central, and parts of even southern Florida, there we have some slightly above average temperatures, and that's again for the southwest, the south central, and parts of southern Florida. Now, we have even in this orange region, a moderately above average temperature region that includes parts of the Four Corners as well as parts of southern Texas, where you could expect warmer than normal temperatures, and this is going to be an area where it's going to be a little bit more noticeable than that yellow shaded region. Now, here is a large area of below average temperatures, and this is for parts of the Northwest, the Northern Plains, the Great Lakes, and also into the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, where you should expect at least slightly below normal temperatures. Now, we also have another region of even colder than normal temperatures, and this is for anywhere from Montana to about western Pennsylvania, where you should expect even colder than normal temperatures, where you could really unleash the polar vortex quite a bit throughout this winter. And if you couple that with some above average precipitation, you could definitely see quite a snowy winter throughout these regions. Now, let's start talking about your snowfall forecast. Now, anywhere in this kind of white region, almost a light gray, this is where these are areas that really don't typically see snowfall, and if they do, it's definitely very far and few between. It's very rare snowfall. So, anywhere in this white shaded region, which includes parts of southern Georgia, Florida, parts of Louisiana, Texas, and also for parts of southern California, southern Arizona, and even to central and northern California, where you don't expect to see snowfall in a typical year. Now, that is important to know because if I put you in a below average chance or below average snowfall region, that could potentially lower your chances of seeing snowfall that year. Or if I put you in above average snowfall, that could raise your chances of seeing snowfall that year. But generally, just so you know, these regions don't typically see snowfall at all in any given year. Now, here is your slightly below average snowfall forecast, and this includes parts of pretty much the entire southern third of the United States, for parts of the southwest, the south central, and the southeastern United States. I am expecting slightly below normal snowfall for these regions. Combine warmer conditions and also drier than normal conditions, you really should expect a fairly below normal snowfall year, and that is if any of these regions actually do see snowfall. Some of these regions, again, don't see snowfall in a typical year. Now, here is your moderately below average snowfall region, and this is going to be for parts of California, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, and also for Texas, where you should expect even less snowfall than what is typical. Now, let's start talking about where you should expect more snowfall than normal, and that is going to be for parts of Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, and then down through parts of the northern plains, the Great Lakes, and also into parts of the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Expect slightly above normal snowfall. Now, you might be wondering why some of these regions didn't even have above normal precipitation, and I kind of explained that briefly beforehand when we were talking about the temperature forecast, but mainly it's just because snowfall has less liquid density than rainfall does, so an inch of rainfall is not equivalent to 1 inch of snowfall. So you could still see maybe 40 inches of snowfall and only receive maybe 3 or 4 inches of liquid precipitation, which would make you below average precipitation, but you would still see above average snowfall. So that's just something I had to kind of tell you guys and kind of explain a little bit because it could be a little bit confusing. Now, here is where I'm expecting even more snowfall than normal, your moderately above average region, and this is for parts of the northern plains, the Great Lakes, and also for the interior Northeast. Expect the most snowfall compared to your average for these regions. Now, let's start talking about my overall forecast, and it's probably one of my favorite forecasts to make, my overall forecast, because of how colorful it is and how fun it is to make. Now, here in the Northwest, expect wet and cool conditions. This is where it's going to be above normal precipitation and cooler than normal temperatures. Add them together, and you're most likely going to see a wetter and cooler winter than what is typical. Now, for the southwest, and also you can kind of see it extends east of the Rockies as well a little bit. We are expecting warmer than normal conditions. This is where it will be fairly noticeable, but nothing that's going to be too extreme that it'll be kind of way too warm. That is going to be reserved for another region further to the south. Now, here in the Rockies, this is where I'm expecting mountain snow, especially for the central and northern Rockies. Expect more mountain snow than normal. For the southern Rockies, expect less mountain snow than what is typical. Now, for parts of this darker red region, this is where I'm expecting hot conditions, and this is where it's going to be much warmer than normal, and that was also that moderately above normal temperature region. So those two kind of go hand in hand. It's going to be hot and dry throughout these regions. Now, here in the northern plains, in this purple shade, this is where I'm expecting a polar vortex outbreak sometime throughout the winter. I was looking at some longer range guidance, and most of them do suggest a fairly displaced polar vortex, which would mean it's frequently exiting and entering the United States, bringing in cooler than normal temperatures, snow with it as well. So that is just something that's going to be frequent, especially for these regions. Expect the brunt of the polar vortex whenever that does end up coming. Now, Further to the south, we're expecting just colder than normal conditions. Not too much in terms of anomalies in terms of precipitation, but it's going to be colder than your normal for many of these regions from about Oklahoma and Missouri northward. Now, also, we have an average region. This is where I'm expecting average conditions pretty much in terms of temperatures and precipitation for all these regions. If not, it's maybe going to be slightly below your normal. Now, here is your drier than normal condition region, and this is going to be for parts of the south and especially the Gulf Coast region, where you are expecting, again, drier than normal conditions just because of the pattern that we will be in. Now, here in this white region, this is where I'm expecting very snowy conditions. This is going to be from Wisconsin to about Tennessee there, where I'm expecting, again, very snowy conditions. This is usually the coldest and snowiest region in a La Nina year, which is the year that we're going into. We're going into a La Nina pattern, especially for this winter. Now, in this bluish region surrounding the Great Lakes, this is where I'm expecting more lake effect snowfall than what is typical. And again, that's for the Great Lake regions. Now, also in the interior Northeast, expect snowy conditions. This is where you're going to see more snowfall than normal, and that's the most prominent thing about this forecasted winter for parts anywhere from northwestern Virginia northward into Maine. Now, for parts of kind of this pink and red region, this is where I'm expecting big coastal storms to be present for parts anywhere from eastern Virginia to eastern Maine there. Expect big coastal storms to be prevalent, and now over parts of the southeast. From anywhere from Georgia to North Carolina, expect icy conditions as some of these storms head up the east coast. You will see a wintry mix for many of these regions for the southeastern coastal regions. Now, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.